It's loading. Okay. You're good.
Good evening, everybody. I just want to welcome you to the policy committee meeting for March 11th. I call this meeting to order. I assume everybody's had time to look at the agenda, so we're just going to move on to new business. Do you have any public comments? No. So I'm going to go to Christy or Ms. Graham for policies to review. Thank you. All right, tonight we are going to start with ADF, District Wellness. And this policy is being updated both at the recommendation of the state as well as post our CSHAC meeting. The coordinated school health, maybe Ms. Santa Maria can help me, coordinated school health advisory committee met annually a couple of weeks ago to look at our goals for the year and make some suggested updates to this policy. So those are the updates that are shown here. Did you get a chance to look at that, Ms. Powell? I did get a chance to look at that. Is there anything you feel like you need to kind of touch base on, Ms. Santa Maria? Flavor that you. Yeah.
No, I mean, not specifically. All the changes are pretty much in line with the model policy and what we're currently doing in our district. So most of the changes were either done at the recommendation of, just changing the language to be in line with what we're currently using, like removing district wellness committee and replacing with the actual name of the council, things like that. But otherwise, really no major changes.
That one's kind of a long one too, so. It is. Looks like it's mostly just the name change. But the specifics like a specific title of a person or a specific link to where you can find information, we just changed it to reflect the information put out by the Department of Education rather than the link itself or rather than a specific job position. What's the new policy that you said you were changing it to say like alternatives reward system for food? Was that in here? I feel like I saw it.
That's on the first page.
Okay, there it is. Okay, yeah.
Change that language a little bit.
That last sentence, the teachers will be provided a list of alternative ideas for behavior management and rewarding academic performance. I've seen no issues with this. Are you good? Good. All right, we can move it out for first reading. Excellent, thank you. Next on our list to review tonight is going to be policy CFA. And I apologize if anyone was looking at the agenda last time. This was actually on the agenda last time, and somehow in reading them, I completely skipped over it in the meeting. So I didn't catch it. Yes, I didn't realize until afterwards either. So I'm just bringing it back up tonight. This is the CFA, School Principals and Building Administrators. This was, again, a rather old policy that was from 2002. And so a lot of the information in here is just updating the general roles of a principal and changing some of that language. This is all based off model policy. All the changes here are from model policy. Anybody has any questions or concerns, feel free to share. I'm just looking it over. Thank you. Yes, it looks like I might have forgotten to delete there. So I will. What one was it? Where it says primary responsibilities of the principal include the following, but are not limited to the following. So I'll
You take your time. Let me know. I don't want to. Also good with that. Does anybody else have anything? You good? Good?
Okay,
All right.
so
Do it. Let's move it out.
All right.
First reading.
Excellent. Next on the list is CFC. Again, this was a policy from 2002. So in an attempt to update some of our older policies, this is one that has some language changes, but the intent of the policy is really still the same. I don't know that any of it is a major change necessarily, just change in the language.
And is this being updated because it was out of?
There were significant changes to the model since 2002. So
That second paragraph, and then you're just adding that in there.
yes, that's an addition from the model. I think it's attempting to replace the paragraph below it. It's just a little better worded, I think, in terms of the superintendent using their judgment to make effective teams and place people in the best positions that allow them to fulfill their goals and use their skills. Administrators.
Good with that.
If you can answer this or not, do we have any principals that are assigned against their will?
I would defer to you all, but I don't
Like
know.
the particular school that they
Yeah.
don't want to be.
Okay. I just had never heard of, so I hit my head there. Okay. Okay.
All right, next up is going to be policy EBAB. That is hazardous materials. This is again, as we look at some of our older policies, just updating those that were particularly out of date. So again, this one had not been updated since 2002. And this is really geared primarily towards things that are used in and around our schools that could be hazardous to students. So the recommendation from the district, in addition to the changes to the model, was to include a reference to federal, state, and local laws such as OSHA that require us to label hazardous materials in certain ways, dispose of them in certain ways. And while that is covered in here, there's no reference to those specific statutes. So it would just be our recommendation to add language that in using hazardous materials as identified above, the district will comply with federal, state law.
And that's the verbiage.
Yeah, that's fine.
You good with that? We're going to add language to say that. will apply with
I mean,
federal.
just remind me of the. Just. Yeah.
Yes, and everyone has to watch Safe Schools videos about it, Vector Solutions videos.
I get so many emails.
My goodness. Yes, all right, so you all are ready to move that one forward?
Yes, ma'am. Thank you. I appreciate
Excellent. Next is going to be policy EBCE. This is school closings and cancellations. Again, this is just in line with updating some of our older policies. I would say that the changes here are not particularly significant changes, just changes in the language or the way that they are portrayed. You good with that, Emmett?
And that made up unless otherwise, because we have learning and all that.
Where are you looking?
Right in line.
Oh, unless otherwise provided for by law. Yeah, because there are specific things such as e-learning where the board has the option to waive a certain number of days after we've used our makeup days.
And I think that, well, okay. Because we
Yeah,
get
like-
complaints about sometimes the kids being out for e-learning and they don't like that. So,
Right.
but that's part of what we do.
Right, so e-learning allows us to not have to use the weather makeup day for the school because
Right.
it counts as a full day.
How many e-learning days do we get here? 5?
Believe
Three, and then how many weather makeup days do we
we have to build in 3 weather makeup days beyond that. And then if there were to be a significant weather event, the board has the option to waive
Oh, so it's the board.
additional days, additional makeup days beyond those 3. You have to use the 3 that you have built in
Yeah.
first.
We can't predetermine what the e-learning days are going to be in advance.
Yeah, so that's 6 total built in, right, between e-learning and weather makeup days, right? 6 total, so if we go over that 6, is that what you're saying?
Yes, I mean, they could be used in different ways, I think, depending on
Okay.
what the circumstances are, because obviously if you have a significant weather event that doesn't allow students to have power, you're not going to use an e-learning day. And so then you might have to skip to the weather makeup day rather than using the e-learning day. So I would say it depends on the circumstance. Next up is EFE. This is competitive food sales and vending machines. Again, this was an older policy and something that the CSHAC committee looked at. It is a policy that was referenced in our district wellness policy, and so we wanted to update it to go along with it. We did also share these recommendations with Sodexo to clarify what their position would be on it, and they said that they are in compliance with all of the portions that apply to them. The factor that needs to be looked at here would be in terms of when we allow vending machines and competitive food sales to occur. So this information is district information. It's not based on a model. The model gives us the option to choose if we will or will not allow it and in what time frames.
So currently, we not limit it in any timeframes?
I'm sorry? It is limited. Yes, it is limited by board policy. Is it? So
Where does it state that it's?
it's in that portion that is highlighted under where it has the little bulletin list. And then it starts, schools will not operate vending machines, etc.
Is there any other recommendations? I think that's sufficient, but I just want to.
I will say that I think my understanding is that the vending machines are being operated during the full school day and that the CSHAC talked about moving those vending machines to being Smart Snack compliant. Someone feel free to correct me if that's not right, but I think that was the thought, was to allow the vending machines to be available, but have them be Smart Snack compliant. during
That
the day.
wouldn't be policy though.
Well, in here, it says that the district does not operate vending machines from the start of the school day until the last 10 minutes from the end of the school day.
So operate them during the days, just, is Smart Snack compliant, like they don't offer any alternatives outside the Smart Snack? Can you elaborate on that again? I remember you touched that based on.
So smart snacks in general are those that are considered healthy alternatives. So when you're offering those, it still might be considered a competitive item because you're selling it at the same time as your school breakfast and lunch program. But the goal of CSHAC as a health and wellness council was to encourage those items to be healthy in nature. So rather than Chick-fil-A chicken sandwiches, it'd be something that was smart snack compliant. There's not a specific list of smart snacks. It's just a matter of looking at the nutrition information and figuring out if they have enough nutritional value to be considered healthy versus unhealthy.
So the recommendation would be to modify those 2 paragraphs there to say that schools will permit the sales of the items and then clarify that the items in the vending machine will be Smart Snack compliant.
So Chick-fil-A is not a smart snack food.
Technically not, but I think that that's a whole separate issue because those are part of our exempt fundraisers. So just as an example, that would be something that if it was not a fundraiser would be considered a competitive non-smart snack item. But we are selling them for fundraisers, so they're exempt.
So everything in the vending machines will be smart snack compliant?
That's something that we discussed as a goal of CShack. It's not currently the practice. I know several years ago it was suggested, and I think a lot of vending machines were transitioned. And then as vendors change and stock runs out, supplies are replenished with things that maybe don't meet that criteria. So we had discussed as a goal, trying to move back towards everything being snack compliant. So I'm not sure how long that will take and what that will look like, but if that was our eventual, we are able to accomplish it, it probably would not be as much of an issue to sell those items at the same time as breakfast and lunch. But currently, it could be considered competitive because they're not probably all smart snack compliant as we speak.
Bad thing.
The way kids understand being healthy and eating healthy. But at the same time, a lot of times the kids won't eat the food. And so is it a possibility you could offer something like Chick-fil-A? I'm not pushing Chick-fil-A, don't have any investment there, but is it possible for them to offer maybe twice a month or something like that, that they can have those sales? Because they do help.
So they're permitted up to 30.
30.
30
So there's 30 fundraisers.
Okay, all right, just thought of.
And so
I'm trying
this
to
would
get
be
rid
like
of
the
whole
vending
thing.
machines and what, like maybe if they had like a snack shack open?
Yeah.
Okay, and that's a store that sold food, a snack shack, and then any vending machines that students had access to.
My only frustration with that is I know a lot of schools like PTAs rely heavily on that for fundraising and part of the, appeal
Incentive.
is
Right.
there's,
So that part is addressed in a separate policy, which was not on the agenda for today. We can certainly bring it up. It is also very heavily compliant on USDA statute and regulations because they are the ones who regulate what can be sold in. And so that.
I'm just confused how this would affect Snack Shack. Like, I know they offer it during, like, example, Oak Brook. I remember they offered that during the lunch period is usually when the kids would go to Snack Shack. So it, like, they wouldn't be able to sell any sort of Takis or candies or,
It has to be limited to the number of days that they're allowed to.
which would be third.
30 exempt fundraisers.
And that's.
And
school-wide
that's not ours. That's from the USDA. Yeah.
So either way, they're limited.
But they, I thought they didn't have any, but as long as they have some, that's good.
They just have to be very, strategic
Right.
Yes.
when they plan fundraisers. It's fundraisers, so it's not, several people can be doing it at the same time, so that's like 3 and 4 happening at the same time, so.
Right, like
they
if
just
you're
need to
doing
be
like
Very strategic about that.
Krispy Kreme donut fundraiser at the same day, you had a Snack Shack and
And you
then
got
you did
Chick-fil-A.
Chick-fil-A
Now you got 3.
and then you're already at 3.
But what's here in this policy is really talking about
The
the vending machines themselves and then competitive foods that are not part of fundraisers because the fundraisers are part of it.
Where does the vending machine sales go? Is that also like a school fundraising? I don't know. I was just curious. Do we know? That's a great question.
I think
I'm sure that a portion of it goes back to the school.
I'm like, is that gonna like?
I'm sure.
But we need to check, but I believe it goes back to school. We
I
should
was just curious. I don't know. And like, how many vending machines do we have at like Day High School?
check.
Do we have like tons of vending machines? It's maybe
5.
4. You feel like they generate a good amount of revenue for the schools or anything?
I'm
or-
not sure the numbers.
I mean, I still don't see harm in making a bring your own food, I guess, if you don't. I don't know.
Right, and right now the policy says that we will not operate the vending machines
Yeah.
during the day.
Anyway.
Yeah, I think that's.
I'm good with it. It's fine.
Okay, so we will make that recommendation. Are you good with the other language there?
Yes. Yeah. That's fine. Thank you.
Next on the list is IHAE, physical education. And again, this is one that is being updated alongside the district wellness. This is one that we did not currently have, although our district wellness policy indicated that we should have one, and so we are recommending the model here.
So this is the model as it stands. We didn't make any changes. Do we recommend? There's no changes. We are done. Okay, no changes.
It's really based on the standards.
I know we made like a goal as part of our goal to have more movement like during class periods throughout the district. Is there a way to incorporate this? Do you think we need to incorporate that goal into this policy at all?
So because the policy has to pass through multiple readings through the board, the State Department doesn't recommend that any of your goals are specifically outlined in policy, just that you reference that you have them, because the idea is that every 3 years, when you do your triennial assessment, you'll have new goals, and they don't want you to have to update your policy unless those goals are going to be reflected in there.
That makes sense. Thank you for that clarification. I see no issue with this policy. Are you good with it, Ms. Powell? And you got me. And then.
I do have a quick question. I don't know if you have the answer. Would, if a student participated, say, in dance for 4 years, would that not be considered a type of physical,
Are you asking the high school?
would that, but even at the middle school level, that not be?
Preventive state, something like dance, is that a preventive state for PE? It's not, correct? Only JROTC and March Grant are the only two that are approved to take the place of a PE course in high school.
Is it like dance, like an extracurricular anyways? Reason there is, it's up for.
It's Oxford Fairs and Dance, but it's not a preventive state.
Interesting.
They have actual dance class.
Well, it's like band, it took a while for band to get on the list.
Yeah,
I
marching
think
band.
eventually there may be other things. You have to make sure you have all the standards for PE also that have to be embedded in, which is why it says if the instruction incorporates the state academic standards for PE, so maybe that's the component with dance, I'm not 100%. Dance, not yet, at least.
I remember the twins having that at Pi, they were like, dance. These are octones. Right, and at the elementary level, I do think they offer that as part of, like, they do all sorts of physical activities as part of their.
And it counts as movement, like
Right.
they offer dance, it counts as their movement minutes, but that's different than courses.
Right.
The opioid abuse prevention is also like a statute, or are we just doing that?
That's part of the regulation. State government. Good. And I believe it's typically taught in high school 101 now. Is that correct, Ms. Sealander? Yes.
Always offer training much.
And I'm sorry, just to make sure that we're on the same one, did you switch over to IHAM since you were talking about opioid?
I did.
Okay.
No.
That's okay. I'm sorry.
What did you pull up?
You're right. I had it checked off. I just hadn't switched over yet. Yes, the last one is IHAM health education.
I'm sorry, I started reading it already.
That's okay. I was like, wait, that's not in the physical education.
Oh, I thought we had already.
So you were right. We had moved forward. So IHAM. These are some of the proposed changes here from the model. Again, they are not substantial changes, just including language from the regulations and updating some of the language.
Mhm.
Yeah, I'm on this one. I just want, let me know if you have any questions or.
Most of them there's cute.
We're just updating this to, when was the last time this one was updated?
I believe 2018, but it was also referenced in the district wellness policy.
Okay.
So we were updating it alongside that.
Good with it as long as it's powers.
That is all the policies we have for today.
Well, seeing there's no public comment, I will adjourn.
Thank you. Motion to adjourn. You ready to make motion? We don't need it.
Committees.
Yep.
Okay.
That one's a little faster than last.